What if the exhaustion you're feeling right now isn't a sign that you're losing, but proof that you're finally nearing the end of the struggle? What if this moment, when you're tired of fighting, tired of proving, tired of pushing, is the exact moment this message was meant to find you? Stay with me. Because the truth is this: when the fight feels hardest, the breakthrough is usually closer than you think. Good evening. This is Earl Nightingale. If you're listening right now because something in you is weary, not weak, just tired of the struggle, then you are exactly where you should be. There is a quiet reason this message has found you at this precise moment, and it has nothing to do with chance. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why the feeling of wanting to stop is often the signal that you're closer than you've ever been, and why what seems like the end of your strength may actually be the beginning of your reward. Have you ever noticed that the moment you feel most overwhelmed is often the moment you're trying to hold too many things together at once? It isn't that life suddenly became heavier. It's that your attention became scattered. When effort is pulled in too many directions, even strong people feel weak. And that is why the first step forward, when you're tired of fighting, is not more effort, but a plan. Most people believe a plan must be complicated to be effective. They imagine thick notebooks, detailed schedules, and long lists that demand more energy than they have left. But the truth is simpler and far more powerful. A plan is not meant to burden you. It is meant to relieve you. It exists to quiet the mind, to replace uncertainty with direction, and to give your energy a place to go. Think for a moment about what happens when there's no plan. The mind spins. Questions repeat themselves. Worry multiplies. You wake up tired because you went to sleep without clarity. But when even a simple plan is in place, something remarkable happens. The mind relaxes, not because everything is solved, but because something is decided. The tired person does not need motivation. Motivation comes and goes. What the tired person needs is certainty, and certainty begins the instant you decide what matters now and what can wait. A single clear decision will do more for your peace of mind than 100 emotional speeches ever could. A proper plan at this stage of life is gentle. It does not shout. It does not demand perfection. It asks only one thing: direction. One small, intentional step that can be taken today without resistance. When the plan is simple, the mind stops arguing. When the mind stops arguing, energy returns. You see, fighting is exhausting because it keeps you reacting. Planning shifts you into choosing. And the moment you choose, you regain authority over your own life. You are no longer pushed by circumstances. You are pulled by purpose. This is why successful people, especially during difficult seasons, reduce rather than expand their commitments. They narrow their focus. They remove noise. They trade urgency for clarity. And in doing so, they discover that progress does not require force. It requires direction. When you begin with a plan, even a modest one, you stop feeling lost. You stop questioning your worth. You stop measuring yourself against the chaos around you. Instead, you wake up knowing what today is for. And that knowledge alone lightens the load you've been carrying. So if you are tired, do not ask for more strength. Ask for more clarity. Decide the next right step and let everything else rest for a while. In that decision, you will feel something return quietly but unmistakably: control, calm, and the confidence that you are no longer fighting, you are moving forward. Have you ever wondered why the hardest moments so often arrive just when you feel you've given everything you have? It can seem unfair, almost cruel, as though life is testing you without reason. Yet this pattern appears again and again in the lives of those who eventually succeed, not because struggle creates success, but because exhaustion often signals that a transition is already underway. Most people misunderstand fatigue. They treat it as evidence that something has gone wrong, that they chose the wrong path, or lack the ability to continue. In reality, exhaustion frequently appears when an old way of operating can no longer carry you forward. You have outgrown the habits, the thinking, or the pace that once worked. The discomfort is not punishment. It is an invitation to change how you proceed. Consider how progress truly happens. Growth requires energy, and energy is consumed when something new is forming. Just as muscles tire before they strengthen, the mind and spirit grow weary before they expand. The mistake is not feeling tired. The mistake is assuming that tiredness means you must quit. There is a quiet moment in every long journey when effort stops producing immediate results. This is the moment many turn back. They mistake silence for failure and resistance for rejection. But in truth, this is often the point at which momentum shifts beneath the surface. Roots deepen before the plant appears above ground. The unseen work is already being done. Those who understand this do not panic when fatigue arrives. They adjust. They slow the pace without abandoning the direction. They listen more carefully. They refine rather than retreat. And by doing so, they pass through a stage that stops most people cold. Exhaustion, when properly understood, is not a stop sign, it is a signal. It tells you that effort alone will no longer be enough, and that wisdom must now take the lead. This is where clarity replaces force, where alignment replaces struggle. The work becomes less about pushing and more about positioning. When you recognize this, your relationship with hardship changes. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, what is this preparing me for? That shift alone restores strength. It reminds you that you are not behind, you are in a refining process. Many abandon their goals just before conditions improve, simply because they misread the signal. They were closer than they realized, but they allowed wariness to convince them otherwise. Those who continue, not recklessly but intelligently, discover that the pressure was temporary and the progress was real. So if you find yourself tired today, pause before you judge the moment. Look closely at how far you've come. Notice what no longer fits. Make the adjustments this stage requires, because very often the weariness you feel is not evidence that you are. Failing it is proof that something new is ready to take its place. Have you ever noticed that the most exhausting battles are rarely with the world around you, but with the thoughts inside your own mind? Long after circumstances quiet down, the inner arguments continue. You replay decisions, question your worth, and wrestle with possibilities that may never arrive. And all the while, the real cost is not time or effort, it is peace. Most people believe success requires constant inner pressure, as though progress only comes through self-criticism and relentless drive. But this quiet war within drains more energy than any external obstacle ever could. When you are fighting yourself, even simple tasks feel heavy. Forward movement slows, not because you lack ability, but because your strength is divided. Ending this conflict does not mean lowering standards or abandoning ambition. It means choosing cooperation over resistance. The mind performs best when it feels supported, not threatened. Just as no one does their finest work under constant attack, your inner world cannot flourish when every step is questioned and every mistake is punished. The moment you stop arguing with yourself, clarity begins to return. Decisions become easier because they are no longer tangled in fear. Action becomes steadier because it is no longer fueled by guilt. You begin to move with purpose rather than pressure. And that shift changes everything. Much of inner conflict comes from trying to be two people at once, who you are now and who you think you should already be. The gap between the two becomes a source of frustration. But growth does not occur by rejecting the present self. It occurs by guiding it. Acceptance is not surrender, it is alignment. When you make peace with where you are, energy that was once wasted on resistance becomes available for progress. Focus sharpens. Confidence grows quietly. You no longer need to prove yourself because you are too busy building yourself. This calm consistency outperforms frantic effort every time. Those who succeed in the long run learn to treat themselves as allies rather than adversaries. They correct without condemnation. They evaluate without emotional punishment. And because of this, they endure. They do not burn out at the moment persistence matters most. Ending the war within does not remove challenges, but it changes how you face them. Instead of feeling surrounded, you feel supported. Instead of doubting every step, you trust your direction. The mind becomes a place of strategy rather than struggle. When inner resistance dissolves, something remarkable happens. Life feels lighter, not because it has become easier, but because you are no longer carrying unnecessary weight. You begin to experience progress without strain, effort without exhaustion, and movement without fear. In that state, forward motion becomes natural and lasting. Have you ever observed how the mind feels busiest when nothing truly important is being completed? Hours can pass in motion, yet at the end of the day there is little to show for it. This is not a problem of effort, it is a problem of direction. Energy, when spread too thin, loses its power. And this is why reclaiming control begins, by narrowing your focus. Most people attempt to manage overwhelm by doing more. They add tasks, extend hours, and increase pressure, believing productivity lies in volume. But progress does not respond to quantity, it responds to concentration. A single well-chosen objective, pursued with consistency, can change the course of a life far more effectively than scattered effort ever could. Focus is not about ignoring responsibility, it is about choosing priority. When everything matters, nothing truly does. The mind becomes reactive, jumping from one demand to another, never fully present, never fully effective. This constant shifting creates fatigue without fulfillment. When you deliberately narrow your focus, something powerful happens. The mind quiets. Decision-making becomes simpler. Doubt weakens because attention is no longer divided. You stop chasing urgency and begin working with intention. Even small actions, when aligned with a clear purpose, start producing visible results. This discipline of focus is not harsh or restrictive. It is freeing. By deciding what deserves your attention, you release yourself from the burden of what does not. You discover that much of what drains your energy adds little value. Eliminating distraction is not loss, it is gain. Those who achieve meaningful success understand this principle deeply. They guard their attention as carefully as their time, knowing that where attention goes, results fall. They choose one main aim and allow other concerns to wait their turn. This is not avoidance, it is strategy. Focus also restores confidence. When you give yourself permission to work on one thing at a time, you begin finishing what you start. Completion builds belief. Belief fuels momentum. Momentum makes effort feel lighter and progress more natural. Without focus, even talent struggles. With focus, ordinary effort becomes extraordinary. The difference is not intelligence or luck, it is concentration applied consistently over time. As your focus sharpens, you will notice a subtle but important shift within. You feel less rushed, yet more effective, less scattered, yet more capable. The mind no longer races ahead or lingers behind. It moves steadily in the present moment. By narrowing your focus, you reclaim command of your energy, your direction, and your sense of purpose. You are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. And in that state, progress stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a steady, confident advance towards something that truly matters. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to move forward with less strength, as though life is cooperating with them rather than resisting them? They work steadily, yet they are not exhausted by constant struggle. Their progress appears natural, almost inevitable. This is not luck. It is the result of alignment rather than force. Most people have been taught that success demands pressure, that if results are slow, the answer is to push harder. When resistance appears, they tighten their grip and increase effort. But force, applied without direction, creates friction. Friction drains energy. And over time, this approach leads not to achievement, but to fatigue. Alignment begins with clarity. When you know what you want and why you want it, your actions fall into order. Decisions become simpler because they are measured against purpose. You no longer waste energy convincing yourself to move forward. Movement feels appropriate, even necessary. Force relies on willpower, and willpower is limited. Alignment relies on intention, and intention renews itself. When your actions are consistent with your values and direction, effort becomes sustainable. You are no longer dragging yourself forward, you are being drawn ahead. This does not mean the absence of work. Meaningful progress always requires effort. But there is a difference between effort that builds and effort that battles. One strengthens you as you move, the other wears you down. Alignment transforms work from a fight into a flow. Many experience frustration not because they are incapable, but because they are misaligned. They chase goals that do not truly belong to them, follow paths shaped by expectation rather than purpose, or measure success by standards that bring no fulfillment. The inner resistance they feel is not laziness, it is wisdom asking for adjustment. When alignment replaces force, the mind grows calm and decisive. You stop questioning every step. Confidence arises not from certainty about the outcome, but from trust in the direction. You act with steadiness rather than urgency, and that steadiness compounds. Those who understand this principle make fewer dramatic moves and more deliberate ones. They conserve energy, they listen, they observe. And because they are no longer fighting themselves or their circumstances, they see opportunities others overlook. Life responds differently to aligned action. People cooperate more readily. Timing improves. Obstacles seem less personal and more navigable. This is not because the world has changed, but because you have changed how you move within it. When you stop forcing and start aligning, progress becomes quieter but stronger. You advance without exhaustion. You grow without strain. And over time, you realize that the path you are walking feels right, not because it is easy, but because it fits. Have you ever wondered why some of your clearest ideas arrive not in moments of action, but in moments of quiet? When the noise fades, when the rush slows, understanding seems to step forward on its own. This is not accidental. Stillness has a purpose, and when used wisely, it becomes one of the most powerful tools available to you. In a world that rewards speed and constant motion, stillness is often misunderstood. It is mistaken for laziness or indecision, but stillness is neither. It is deliberate pause, chosen not to escape life, but to see it clearly. The mind that never rests eventually loses perspective. The mind that pauses regains it. Strategy is born in quiet moments. When you step back from constant reaction, patterns reveal themselves. You begin to see what truly matters and what merely demands attention. Problems that once felt overwhelming shrink when viewed calmly, not because they disappear, but because they are understood. Those who rush endlessly are often busy solving the wrong problems. Stillness allows you to choose wisely before you act. It conserves energy and directs it where it will matter most. One well-timed decision made in calm awareness can outperform weeks of frantic effort. Stillness also strengthens intuition. When the mind is cluttered with urgency, intuition is drowned out. But when you slow down, that quiet inner guidance becomes audible again. You begin to sense when to move and when to wait. This timing is not taught in books. It is discovered in silence. This does not mean withdrawing from responsibility. It means preparing yourself before engaging. An archer draws back the bow before releasing the arrow. The pause is not hesitation, it is precision. Stillness sharpens aim. Many people fear quiet because it confronts them with their own thoughts. But within that space lies clarity. When distractions fall away, you recognize what is draining you and what is sustaining you. You gain the courage to release what no longer serves your direction. Those who master stillness move with confidence. They are not rushed by external pressure. They respond instead of react. Their actions appear calm, yet their results are substantial. They understand that power does not always announce itself with noise. When you make room for stillness, your mind organizes itself naturally. Stress lessens. Insight increases. Decisions feel cleaner, not forced. You begin to move forward from a place of understanding rather than impulse. In time, you realize that stillness was never about stopping, it was about preparing. It was the quiet space where strength gathered, where direction became clear, and where action, when it finally came, felt certain and well chosen. Have you ever felt pressured by an invisible clock as though life were constantly reminding you that you should be further along by now? This quiet tension follows many capable people, draining energy not through effort, but through comparison. It is not the work itself that exhausts them. It is the timeline they believe they are failing to meet. Much of modern stress is created by borrowed expectation. You look to the progress of others and unconsciously adopt their schedules as your own. But growth does not follow a universal calendar. Each person moves through seasons shaped by unique experiences, lessons, and preparation. When you measure yourself against the wrong clock, you turn progress into pressure. Timelines are useful when they serve clarity, but harmful when they create urgency without purpose. The mind, when rushed, sacrifices quality for speed. Decisions become reactive. Confidence erodes, and instead of moving forward steadily, you begin to feel behind even when you are advancing. Letting go of draining timelines does not mean abandoning discipline or direction. It means choosing a pace that sustains you. True progress is not proven by how fast you move, but by how well you continue. Endurance outperforms haste every time. When you release unrealistic time expectations, something important shifts. You stop negotiating your worth based on speed. You allow learning to deepen. You give yourself permission to grow fully rather than quickly. This patience is not passive, it is intelligent. Those who succeed over the long term understand this principle. They are not in a race. They are in a process. They focus on consistent improvement, knowing that momentum builds quietly. They trust that mastery unfolds through repetition and refinement, not shortcuts. Comparison creates noise. It distracts from your own progress and pulls attention outward. When you return your focus to your path, clarity returns. You notice how far you've come. You recognize what you've already overcome. This awareness restores confidence that urgency once stole. A self-directed timeline honors both ambition and well-being. It allows effort without burnout. It encourages growth without self-judgment. And most importantly, it keeps you moving forward with intention rather than anxiety. When you stop racing an imaginary clock, your work improves. Your thinking steadies. You act from understanding instead of fear. Progress becomes something you experience rather than chase. In releasing timelines that drain you, you gain something far more valuable than speed. You gain composure, consistency, and the quiet assurance that you are moving at the right pace for the person you are becoming. Have you ever noticed how the hardest lessons often come disguised as fatigue or frustration? We push, we strive, we struggle, and yet the insight we need most is hidden within the very challenge we are desperate to escape. It is in these moments that weariness, when observed carefully, becomes a guide rather than an obstacle. Many people view struggle purely as a signal to stop. They see exhaustion as proof of failure, a reason to retreat. But those who understand growth see it differently. Every challenge survived, every obstacle endured, leaves behind knowledge that cannot be gained in comfort. The very act of pressing forward through difficulty refines judgment, sharpens awareness, and strengthens resolve. Wisdom emerges not from ease, but from experience applied thoughtfully. The moments when you feel stretched beyond your limits are often the same moments in which the most important learning takes place. The mind, confronted with resistance, begins to notice subtleties it would otherwise overlook. Patterns become clear. Choices that once seemed random now reveal themselves as pivotal. The key is not to avoid fatigue, but to observe it. Listen to what it tells you. Are you resisting unnecessarily? Are your priorities misaligned? Are you expending energy on what does not matter most? Weariness is a signal, a map pointing toward refinement rather than retreat. When you heed it correctly, it becomes one of your greatest teachers. Those who grow through challenge learn to separate effort from frustration. They recognize that effort is necessary, but struggle is optional. They push where it counts and release what is draining without benefit. This discernment turns ordinary persistence into intelligent persistence. It ensures that the energy spent produces insight and forward motion, not just exhaustion. Experience, especially the difficult kind, teaches patience. It shows that results are rarely immediate, that progress often appears invisible until the work has ripened in silence. Those who abandon effort too soon miss the lessons hidden in endurance. Those who endure with awareness gain understanding that lasts far longer than any temporary comfort. Every trial carries a lesson if you choose to see it. The failures that once seemed crushing, the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable, are the very experiences that provide clarity and preparation for the next stage. Weariness becomes not a wall, but a doorway, a sign that something significant is taking shape beneath the surface. When you embrace this perspective, exhaustion transforms from enemy to guide. The mind becomes sharper. Judgment becomes sounder. Insight emerges from struggle rather than outside it. You begin to move forward not blindly, but with awareness and skill that comes only from having navigated difficulty before. In this way, every challenge endured, every moment of weariness faced, contributes to growth that cannot be measured by immediate results. The lessons embedded in experience become tools, and through them your path becomes clearer, your decisions wiser, and your progress both steady and meaningful. Have you ever noticed how progress often arrives quietly, almost imperceptibly, long before it announces itself with results? Many people wait for a grand sign, an obvious breakthrough, before believing that change is happening. Yet the most meaningful shifts are usually subtle, whispered in small victories and internal adjustments that go unnoticed by the world. We tend to measure progress by what we can see: numbers, outcomes, external validation, but much of growth happens beneath the surface. Attitudes shift, habits strengthen, clarity increases. These quiet transformations are often invisible at first, and because they are unseen, many give up too early. They mistake the lack of fanfare for stagnation, never realizing they are already closer than they think. Signs of approaching success are not always loud. They appear in small patterns, a new way of thinking, a decision made, without hesitation, a sense of calm where there was once doubt. These subtle cues indicate alignment is occurring. The inner world is rearranging itself to support the external results that will soon follow. Recognizing these signs requires awareness, a willingness to pause and reflect rather than chase every fleeting distraction. Those who succeed understand this principle. They observe quietly, noting small wins and internal shifts rather than focusing solely on outcomes. They recognize that each minor improvement compounds over time. One small change in thinking, one disciplined action taken consistently, multiplies into momentum that eventually becomes undeniable. It is easy to overlook these internal signals because we are conditioned to demand instant proof. Society glorifies visible achievement and rapid results. But the most important developments often unfold where no one else can see them: inside your mind, within your habits, and in the quiet choices you make when no one is watching. Awareness of these signs also builds resilience. When progress is subtle, patience becomes essential. You learn to trust the process rather than demand immediate confirmation. You stop judging your path by temporary setbacks or by comparing yourself to others. Instead, you focus on your own growth, knowing that the work being done quietly today is preparing you for the results you will see tomorrow. Even when the world seems stagnant, subtle progress is happening. Your understanding deepens, your skills improve, your priorities become sharper. These shifts are cumulative, and the moment they manifest outwardly, the transformation appears sudden, but it was never abrupt. It was built quietly, steadily, beneath the surface. Recognizing these quiet signs changes how you navigate life. You act with confidence, not because success is immediately visible, but because you sense it coming. You persist not out of desperation, but with a steady awareness that the next step, taken consistently, carries you closer to your goal. And when the breakthrough finally arrives, it feels inevitable, natural, and completely deserved, because it has been quietly forming all along. Have you ever observed how some people move through life with a quiet assurance, as though each step is guided by an unseen hand. They face challenges, yet their actions are composed, deliberate, and confident. This composure is not born of luck or circumstance. It is the result of trust in their own direction, cultivated over time. Many people act from desperation, believing that urgency alone will produce results. They push frantically, trying to control outcomes they cannot control. This approach creates exhaustion and anxiety, and often leads to decisions made from fear rather than clarity. True forward motion, however, comes from calm certainty, not frantic force. Calm certainty begins with understanding your path. When you know where you are headed, you act with purpose rather than reaction. Every step is measured, each decision intentional. This does not remove challenges or obstacles. It simply changes the way you face them. Obstacles become manageable and challenges are met with strategy rather than panic. Those who move forward with calm certainty conserve energy. They do not expend it on worry, self-doubt, or unnecessary effort. Instead, they apply their strength where it is most effective. Each action compounds, building momentum that is quiet but unstoppable. The result is steady progress that feels natural rather than forced. This approach also fosters confidence. When you act from a place of calm understanding, you trust your choices. Mistakes are no longer devastating. They are part of the process, lessons to guide the next step. The mind becomes sharp. Decision-making becomes precise, and direction remains clear even in uncertain circumstances. Many abandon their path too early because they rely on immediate results to measure success. Those who cultivate calm certainty know that progress is rarely dramatic at first. It is often quiet, subtle, and incremental. Yet these small, deliberate steps accumulate into significant achievement over time. Composure in action is contagious. When you move with quiet confidence, those around you respond differently. Opportunities open, resistance lessens, and timing aligns more favorably. Life does not bend magically to your will, but your clear, calm movement makes obstacles less formidable and your progress more sustainable. Acting with calm certainty does not mean ignoring effort. It means directing effort intelligently. It means recognizing what is within your control and releasing what is not. It means moving forward steadily even when the pace feels slow, because you understand that momentum is built through consistency, not desperation. Ultimately, calm certainty transforms the experience of effort. Work no longer feels like a battle. It becomes a process guided by purpose and reinforced by trust. Every decision aligns with direction. Every action compounds previous gains. And every challenge becomes a chance to strengthen judgment rather than a reason to panic. When you embrace this approach, life begins to flow differently. You move with assurance, your energy is preserved, and progress becomes inevitable. The fight that once exhausted you is replaced by movement that is steady, deliberate, and entirely your own. You advance not because you are forcing life to comply, but because you are acting with the confidence that comes from knowing you are on the right path. As we come to the close of this message, take a moment to reflect on what has been shared. You've learned that fatigue is often a sign of growth, that struggle can teach wisdom, and that true progress comes not from force, but from clarity, focus, and alignment. You now understand that each step, even when unseen or quiet, brings you closer to the breakthrough you seek. Life moves most powerfully when we act with intention, patience, and calm certainty. And when we stop fighting ourselves, the path forward becomes clear. Remember, this is just the beginning. The principles we've explored today are tools you can return to whenever you feel weary, uncertain, or overwhelmed. And for those who want to go deeper, this channel holds many more messages designed to guide you further, helping you unlock even greater insight, clarity, and forward momentum. Each video is an opportunity to build on what you've learned here, to refine your thinking, and to continue moving closer to the life you desire. So keep watching, keep listening, and keep applying. The journey doesn't end with this one message. It continues, stronger and more focused with every step. And I promise the next videos you encounter here will take you even further, offering more understanding, more tools, and more encouragement to help you navigate the challenges ahead and realize the success that is already within your reach.